wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Let's get to some front page news. All right, I just want to say this is pretty dope. Jaylen Brown, he becomes the first active NBA player to participate in a Big Three game. So salute to Jaylen Brown, of course, for the Boston Celtics. And he jumped into Ice Cube's Big Three game league. I seen everybody talking about that over the weekend.
Yeah, drop on the clues bombs for Jaylen Brown. I mean, Big Three is already legitimized, but that definitely brings the even more legitimacy to what the Big Three is doing.
That's right. Now, let's talk about what happened in Jacksonville. Very sad case.
Yeah, I hate starting off Mondays with sad news, but we have to report what's on the front page news, and we are dealing with yet another racially motivated shooting, this time in Jacksonville, Florida. Let's go to NBC for the report.
In Jacksonville tonight, a community grieves over lives tragically lost.
This is tough. This is home.
Angela Carr, Gerald Deshaun Gallion, and Denault Joseph Laguerre, known as AJ. Shot and killed Saturday after a gunman opened fire at a Dollar General store.
Pretty sad what happened. Really sad.
The FBI now investigating this as a racially driven hate crime.
He was a failure as an individual because he hates a group of people and decided he wanted to kill them.
The Jacksonville sheriff identified the gunman as 21-year-old Ryan Christopher Palmetter, who penned writings detailing what he thought about the black race and what he planned to do. Today, Florida's governor calling the violence unacceptable.
Targeting people due to their race has no place in the state of Florida.
So sad.
Yeah, really sad. And, we have to stop pretending like this rhetoric, when the governor went to the press conference, some folks that were saying, this is not about politics, but it absolutely, a lot of this rhetoric is spewed, through a lot of these political discussions. And speaking of white supremacy, Vivek Ramaswamy was also under fire this weekend for comparing white supremacists to finding a unicorn. He basically said, if I find a white supremacist, it's the same as finding a unicorn. Let's take a listen to that, and then we're going to talk about it all on the other side.
I'm sure the boogeyman white supremacist exists somewhere in America. I've just never met him. Never seen one. Never met one in my life, right? Maybe I'll meet a unicorn sooner. And maybe those exist too.
I mean, what is there to say that we haven't said before? Mm-hmm. Like what conversation are we going to have that we haven't had before? Even with somebody like, Vivek, it's like, why am I going to go back and forth debating with, somebody about whether or not white supremacy exists when we have another example? Of course it exists. Right. You know what I mean? We just we're talking about another example right now, but like once again, what are we going to say that we haven't said before?
Yeah. He also said that Black Representative Ayanna Pressley was a part of the modern KKK because she said we don't need any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. So again, Charlamagne, to your point, we've talked about this over and over. We understand this rhetoric fuels this. It was clearly in his manifesto. And just as a FYI, these guns were purchased legally. One was an AR-15 style rifle. He had no background, but he was committed for involuntary psychiatric evaluation in 2017. So just as FYI, also the Florida law known as the Baker Act, it did not show up in his background check because he was not actually committed for treatment. So guys, what do you think? Should it be in the background check, even if you've been for involuntary evaluation and not just committed? What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I think when there's any case like that, a lot of these cases, if somebody does have a mental problem or there are situations, sometimes it doesn't show up on your background report. And in this situation, I mean, obviously the gentleman has problems had problems, and that should have been flagged immediately. There's no way somebody like that should have been able to purchase 2 firearms and use those 2 firearms for exactly what he wanted to use it for. That's insane. Insane.
And the crazy part is Florida is a place where an act of white supremacy happened, but you can't even discuss with kids in classrooms how these situations come to be historically. Right. You can't even talk about how we got here.
That's right.
That's right.
All right.
Which is critically important. And I was really disappointed in one of the local representatives, When Governor DeSantis was there talking, the crowd was heckling him, Charlamagne, just for that reason, for what he's doing, to history. And he was cut off, and said, let's not do this at this time. And I think he should have got all the smoke, while he was there, face to face, to really deal with, to make that connection like you just made, Charlamagne, that all of this, plays a role into what it is that those folks are dealing with. So rest in peace to those victims and to the entire community that is suffering this tragic loss.
Yeah, and I hate using woke terms like anti-anything, but yeah, Ron DeSantis has absolutely fueled a lot of anti-blackness in Florida. So yeah, he deserves a lot of that smoke.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Tesla, we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right now. I know it's a Monday. I'm tired. I'm sure you are, but we got to get through it. So 800-585-1051 is the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club on this Monday. Let's get back into some front page news. What up, Tez?
What up, DJ Envy, Charlamagne the God?
Peace to the Hood Whisperer.
Now let's jump right back into it. Let's talk Cornel West. It seems like he was blasting Bernie Sanders, huh?
Yeah, it's so interesting because CNN actually asked Senator Bernie Sanders to respond to the question we asked here on the Breakfast Club about Senator Sanders supporting President Biden. Let's take a listen.
He recently criticized you for endorsing President Biden's reelection. Listen to what he said.
Yeah, I love the brother, and you even in love, people have deep disagreements about these things. But I think, again, he's fearful of the neo-fascism of Trump.
What's your reaction to that?
Where I disagree with my good friend, Cornel West, is I think in these really very difficult times where there is a real question whether democracy is going to remain in the United States of America. Donald Trump is not somebody who believes in democracy, whether women are going to be able to continue to control their own bodies, whether we have social justice in America, we end bigotry. Around that, I think we have got to bring the entire progressive community to defeat Trump or whoever the Republican nominee will be.
FYI, Cornel didn't blast Bernie, Envy. Jesus Christ.
Right.
Like, Envy put sauce on it. Like,
I didn't put no sauce on it. These are what they wrote.
Well, that's silly. Whoever wrote that is a clickbait connoisseur. But that is a civil discourse between two elders. They both said they love each other.
Correct.
And it was nothing personal. It was just a difference in opinions and ideologies. That's all.
Well, two things can be true at the same time. Do you think, Charlamagne, that Senator Sanders is afraid of Trump and not pushing the progressive agenda? Or
well, I think we're all afraid of democracy. Not being around anymore. Like, I don't think it's necessarily being. He probably is afraid of Trump, but he's afraid of what Donald Trump will do if Donald Trump gets back into the White House. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think this is one of those times, right, coming up where we not even coming up now. We really should be afraid about what's going on in our democracy, but Democrats have cried wolf so many times because that's the only thing they have whenever elections come around is to push fear, to get us to vote out of fear. But this is one of those times where we all should be really afraid of what could happen to our democracy, but I don't feel the sense of urgency at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid. Especially when somebody gets locked up and a day after he gets locked up, he raises over $7 million for his campaign.
That's right.
That's
scary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he raised $7.1 million after the Georgia arrest, $4.1 million on Friday alone, which was the single highest 24-hour period of his campaign to date. And just to add a little bit of context to Dr. West, when he answered that question, we were talking about, for those who want to go back and watch it, we're actually talking about Senator Bernie Sanders endorsing without leverage. And so remember, we were kind of wrapping that conversation around should Senator Sanders have asked for more leverage before he came out for President Biden immediately, because he was the first one that endorsed him. So that's just a little bit of context to that conversation as well.
And also, too, man, that money that Trump raised, that won't be enough. Like, you got to run a campaign and you got to pay lawyer fees. And when you look at it in the bigger scheme of things, I think they were selling those shirts, $47 a pop. Let's just say one person bought a shirt for $47. That's still only like 150,000 people. So I was thinking about this weekend, right? All the support that it looks like Trump has, I don't know if he necessarily got it, because remember, we were thinking that people were going to be tearing the streets up you know, if he started getting arrested and stuff. He's got 91 criminal charges, been indicted 4 times. I ain't seen nobody bring no smoke yet. Not that we want them to,
right?
But you know, I don't think that the energy is there like we think it is.
Yeah. It makes it, and you're right. You know, when people are online and you got a good 5,000 people that are penetrating online over and over and over and over and over. We talked about this last week. It seems bigger than what it is in the grand scope of things. And I always point to that as well. And, oh man, they're really making comments. Just use Breakfast Club for an example. 8 million listeners that listen on the radio, 10 to 20 million that listen on the podcast. That's not even including, you know, YouTube and Facebook and all those things. So when you see 10,000 people or 5,000, even 50,000, it seems like a big number, but the reality of it is when you talk about millions and millions of voters, it's not representative of, you know, what people are actually thinking. But it appears that way because, as we talked about, conservatives or Trumpers or whatever you want to call them, they organize really well in making it appear bigger than what it is. So are there black vendors out there that are selling shirts? That's what I want to know. Are we getting some money off of this as well, or what?
And then I was looking at ABC News yesterday, and it said that polling shows half of Americans want Donald Trump to suspend his campaign. You know what I mean? So I don't know if this like Ted just said, this support that we see online, this noise we see online, I don't know if it's reflected in the real world, man.
But you know what you know, maybe it's not in the streets, but I mean, it seems like they donating in their pockets. You know what I mean? $7.1 million in 2 days is a lot of money.
It is, but it's like
and it's in 4 point. This was the highest. You said the highest 1 day total?
It is, but it's 150,000 people if you do the math. It's roughly around 150,000 people if one person bought a shirt for $47.
Well, and just for clarity, single highest 24-hour period for his campaign. Okay. So not in history, but just for his campaign. Okay. And again, they said $3 out of $4 that is raised will be spent on legal fees. And don't forget all of those other defendants, they don't have attorneys as well. So folks are saying, are you going to help them out? You're going to slide them a couple of dollars, put it on their books, help them with the attorneys, something. So
you said
a lot of this money
out of $4?
That's what experts are saying. Of course, you know, we don't know that, but that's pretty. I mean, there's a lot of legal fees involved with 90 plus charges.
Yeah, and it was. I'm telling you, go read that article about how, you know, Trump's indictments aren't giving him the bounce and support that he thinks that he claims. You know, because polling shows half of Americans want him to suspend his campaign.
But I think the biggest question is, it's probably, you know, what we're looking like. It's probably going to go between Trump and Biden. Can Trump beat Biden, or can Biden beat Trump? Is the question.
I think in a general election, with everything that Donald Trump has over his head, I think Joe Biden beats Donald Trump. Even I think a half-dead Joe Biden beats Donald Trump in this current climate.
Why you say half-dead Biden?
With him having 91 criminal, with 3/4 dead. But him having 91 criminal charges and 4 indictments.
All right. Well, thank you, Tez.
Yeah. Can I give a quick shout out?
Of course.
I want to give a quick shout out. I got a chance to hang out with SWV, one of the best girl groups in our history.
Okay.
So shout out to Taj from SWV. She was so sweet. She made sure I grabbed me and pulled me up on stage, and it really was just like a dream come true. I'm sure you guys love Week and all of the classics. I can see you singing it now, Charlamagne. So this was just a great opportunity. Really, really sweet ladies, and I appreciate them looking out.
Yeah,
all right.
Salute to SWV. What up, Lily?
All right.
Yeah.
And make sure you subscribe to Tesla and Figaro's podcast, the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network, and follow Tesla and Figaro on all social media platforms at Tesla and Figaro.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Now, when we come back, Fab Five Freddy will be joining us. That's right. He's here to discuss 50 years of hip-hop podcasts and so much more. So we're going to kick it with Fab Five Freddy when we come back. So don't move. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.